somebody is lying, and I need to know who. So if you all watched my last recap, then you know I felt the last episode of March seemed like a filler episode because not much happened. All we got was the band preparing for their game against Texas A&M University and some introductions to more cast members. Well, it's game day for them, and because this is a game against a PWI, Doc gives us more history on how Prairie View was founded 1 year after Texas A&M. So this game is basically an opportunity for the parent school to see what their system school is doing. So basically the white folks is checking in on their investment. At least that's how I took his explanation. So moving on in the show, Jalen brings up how there was a sign, and let me be specific, how there was a racist sign put up saying this sheet is worth more than a degree from Prairie View A&M University by some Texas A&M students. So of course that brought them down a little because they felt offended and disrespected, which I mean they technically were. Even Kaylin stated how she felt like they were already looked down upon when they arrived. And honestly, situations like that gets me so heated and I feel so bad for them because at the end of the day, no one wants to go anywhere they aren't wanted. And I feel like they are forced to be there just so they can, you know, be controlled in a politically shady, we have power over you, ha-ha way. I feel like the school could have done better trying to prevent any situation like that, period. Especially since they are the guests. So not only were they dealing with feeling down about the racist sign, but they also didn't have enough room and space to perform in the stands, which to me was unacceptable because Texas A&M have a huge stadium. So there shouldn't have been any reason the band is tight and sitting on top of each other like a can of sardines. How ghetto, Texas A&M, how ghetto. Whew. See, this is why I say this is all a power play on Texas A&M part because they should have made sure the band was well placed and positioned to become comfortable enough to perform their best. But even with the terrible accommodations and the terrible welcome, the band didn't let that stop them and they were jamming at the game. We move on to Doc and his confessional talking about how the purpose of the game was the battle of the two bands. And all I'm saying in my head is, first off, why? Because their band and y'all band is not even on the same wave. And secondly, if that's the damn case, they need to give y'all a session with more space. What the hell? Where is the demands? Where are the accommodations? But I mean, I guess they wanted some real entertainment to wake them up, which is why Prairie View is there. And also, I want to know, does the game actually count towards the football game's ranking? Like the football players' rankings? I don't know, that's just a thought. But eventually, after all the talking, we get to see a little of A&M band play, and just like everyone was saying, they were boring. But they look good as far as transitions and sequences go. But I mean, anyone can do that. We do it all the time at FAMU, so nothing about that is exciting. Baby, I need songs, I need movements, I need entertainment. Not tickle me MO beats with tight lines. That's not gonna do it. But I mean, we know white people love bare minimum. Then we get into Prairie View performance. Now, I can't lie. I can see where they need to work at with their lines and transitions because there were spots where I seen some members moving slower or faster than others, so it looked like they were out of sync. But beyond that, they did good. They had transitions, they had spellings and animations, and the most important of all, they were entertaining. And let me also add that I love how they have a female MC that does the introduction because she is great. And I meant to mention that for the during their homecoming game, but they gave her a little, you know, extra screen time this episode, so I had to get that off my chest. Now, of course, while Prairie View was performing, the crowd was going up. White, black, orange, or gray, everyone was enjoying themselves as expected because hell, all the music they were playing and dances they were doing was up to date and relatable, especially with TikTok driving the world right now. So the ending of the last episode was all about them performing this signature transition called Eye of the Storm. And baby, towards the ending of their performance, it was time for them to do it. And I can't lie, when they went to running into a circle like a tornado and then started to run out into the spelling of the word storm, I started smiling and nodding my head so hard like, yup, that's fine. taking their girlfriends on a double date, and they are all talking about how they are about to graduate and how the transition of student life to working life is going to be different. And then later on in the show, Jesus talks about how he was in the news basically getting attention for being the first Hispanic drum major at an HBCU. And like I said in my previous recap, I knew this was going to be the topic of conversation for him, and in my opinion, nothing about that is interesting. And if that's all he has to offer on the show, then they could have kept that and gave us another band member with a more in-depth storyline. But I mean, I get that they are trying to show how diversified HBCUs are, but travel, HBCUs are the blueprints for diversity. I was in school with Muslims, Asians, Chinese, and others. So to be honest, nothing about Jesus' stories is newsworthy to me, especially if he isn't like the lead drum major. Now, if they wanted a real story, I would have loved for him to talk about how he is helping the black community with his prominent role in the band, but he probably isn't doing much of that. And if that's the case, I would have loved to see him talking to his family and his community of Hispanics, spreading the importance of HBCU culture and how accepting we are to their community compared to their these PWIs everyone is so obsessed over. I think those perspectives would have been way more entertaining and informative than, oh wow, we have a Hispanic drum major at an HBCU, okay. See, I'm from Miami and I went to an all predominantly black high school, middle school, elementary, all of it. And seeing Hispanic students be a part of activities that black students is nothing new to me. And that's probably why I don't take interest in that particular storyline, because there is nothing to gain from it. Now, what is more interesting in history making is having a girl as a drum major. And if I'm not mistaken, that has been done at another HBCU or two, but not sure if it has been done at Prairie View before. But a storyline like that would be interesting because drum majors are known to only have men. But to see a woman overcome the obstacles of a drum major would have been golden. Jesus is a guy. Him being Hispanic doesn't make him being a drum major a history-making move, since he is a POC. But like I said, I get why they are shedding light on it. So I'll stop my rant here, and congrats to you, Jesus, because I mean, at the end of the day, it is a great accomplishment. But moving on in the show, we get into Martayvia having a conversation with her ex-girlfriend Kayla, telling her how she plans to talk to Cardavion about their altercation. And at this point, Martayvia done told everyone that's her plan. So Lord, please let's get to it and be done. Now the crazy thing is, Kayla is also one of the girls that used to be a part of the friend group with Martayvia and Cardavion. The group of friends, she said, Cardavion said was using her for food. So Kayla knew some of the backstory. And basically said she don't even know how they all stopped being friends because Cardavion got mad out of nowhere. Now, after hearing Cardavion explain his reason why he stopped being their friends, maybe he really isn't mad. He was just fed up and hurt. And that's fine, because once you realize people aren't your real friends, you don't have to deal with them. Now, I do think because he was hurt, assuming they were using him, he decided to express his feelings. And like I said, Cardavion has a big personality, and so does Martayvia. And that's when everything turned all the way upside down with them two. So in the conversation with Kayla, Martayvia was like she really didn't care about Cardavion's attitude towards them until she felt like he was being a bully. Now, I may not know neither one of them, and I don't know the full story because both Martayvia and Cardavion are only speaking their versions of it. But what I can say is that I don't think Martayvia really felt like Cardavion was being a bully, because her personality is just as prominent and strong as his. And they clearly can match each other's energies to the highest power. So I don't think she really felt like he was being a bully, but more like she wanted to shut him up since he kept pressing the issue. And if that was the case, then say that. But let's not do, oh, he was being a bully, thing. But like I said, this is all my thoughts and all my opinions from what we are getting. Someone in the comments correct me if I'm wrong, or tell me how y'all feel about these two in their childish beef. At this point, it seems like the both of them are trying to play victim when they both are wrong and need to apologize and just move on. But moving on in the show, Cardavion is back, baby, and I just want to know why they got to sit on a bench in the back while the band is practicing. Got her looking like an outsider child. Too funny. But anything to get this shot, right? But anyways, this was a quick scene with Cardavion, since it was just some B-roll of her watching a band while she was speaking in her confessional. Talking about how she's going to have to sit down with Martayvia so they both can move forward and get back in the band. Now, I can't lie. I didn't think Cardavion cared about getting back in the band simply because she's been missing for 3 whole episodes. And we haven't heard much about it from her like we have with Martayvia, who has been almost all the episodes and bringing up getting back in the band every chance she gets. So it seems like she's the only one putting in work, while all we seen was Cardavion passing out cookies, child. So I haven't been fully convinced that he wants to get back in the band, that she wants to get back in the band. I wish we could have gotten a scene with Cardavion speaking to Doc, because I would have loved to see if he would have reacted to her the same way he did with Martayvia. And I would have loved to see Cardavion respond as well, because as of now, everything is looking very one-sided when we need to see all sides. But you know what? Maybe Cardavion is all talk and really don't want to get back in the band, child. Who knows? Because at this point, I don't. So continuing on with the frenemies situation, Martayvia versus Cardavion, we finally get into their sit down, and baby, I just want to thank God, because I just need the drama to be over with at this point. So the two of them are meeting up with Aaron, who is in place to be the calm, cool, and collected mediator, which I am all here for, because we don't need them by themselves trying to overtalk one another to get to them, get their point across. But it's funny because Aaron don't even know what's going on between the two of them, which in a way makes him the perfect person to mediate, because he wouldn't choose sides. So, I mean, I guess that's good. So Martayvia started telling him what happened because Cardavion wasn't there yet. And then we went into a flashback with both of the girls telling their sides of the story. And y'all, I am highly upset because when all this went down, we all seen Martavia's side. We all seen Martayvia tell her side and never got to see Cardavion explain her side. And we all know how extra she is, so she was bringing all the extra details and descriptions, which I would have loved to see, but we didn't. Which is why I keep saying they have edited this show to look very one-sided, and that's not fair, because if y'all want to get into a storyline involving 2 people, we need to hear it all, baby, because it seemed like Cardavion was giving out full details, descriptions, everything, and that's what I needed to see and hear. But moving on from the flashback, Cardavion finally arrives and Aaron starts the conversation off with positivity, basically saying it's good that they are trying to squash things because they are great band members, and the altercation between them is small, so they basically can get over it. And I'm over here like, no, Aaron, nothing about this situation is small, because they were about to get physical and they had to deal with student code of conduct. The thoughts of this being a small problem went out of the window a long time ago. But I understood where he was going with that statement. So afterwards, Martayvia kicked things off by basically saying the situation was childish, and when the student code of conduct got involved, it elevated the situation into something it didn't need to be. Now don't get me wrong, I agree. If they knew they could have squashed the situation by themselves, then the student code of conduct didn't need to get involved. But I also disagree, because Martayvia only feels that way since she was the one that got caught. Whether they got involved or not, Martayvia, you were a student leader, and nothing about your actions was okay. So you can't all of a sudden feel like that's when the situation got elevated, when really the altercation between the two of you should have ended when y'all were separated at the Labor Day Classic. But y'all, or you, decided to keep going, so this was the outcome. Now all of this time it was presented like Cardavion went to student code of conduct and snitched on Martayvia. But baby, Cardavion came to clear her name, and she told Martayvia she never went to student code of conduct. In fact, they wrote her email saying she needed to see them. And when she spoke with them, they asked her why was she there, and she said, I don't know why I'm here. Y'all sent me an email. Now I can't lie, I was looking at Cardavion sideways like, sis, be for real. You tried to get one up on Martayvia. Just be real. Because all of what she was saying sounded real skeptical and confusing. But Cardavion did write me in the comments and said she didn't make a complaint. Like, she didn't make that complaint. So I'm going to take her word for it. But I don't know, Cardavion. You could have done a lot more convincing on the show, because it was sounding like you were scrambling. I don't know now, sis. Now, Cardavion did own up to showing whoever she spoke with at student code of conduct everything Martayvia was saying to her on social media when they asked about it. And Martayvia didn't like that and said, well, I spoke with them, I wasn't saying anything while you was over there telling the whole book. Now, girl, Martayvia, you can't be mad at Cardavion because she was trying to clear her name. At that point, she didn't owe you any loyalty because y'all weren't friends. And you shouldn't have felt like you owed her any loyalty either. Hell, it was every man, woman, friend, or foe for themselves at that point. And that was the type of timing Cardavion was on. But regardless of the fact, nothing worked in neither one of their favors because they both suffered the same fate of being kicked out of the band. So that's that. The episode ended with the two of them continuing on their conversation, so we won't know everything they hit on until next week's episode. But I'm just glad this was finally put to rest because they both are about to graduate and got other things to worry about. So this shouldn't even be a factor in their lives right now. But more to come. So with that being said, y'all already know what to do and how it goes down over here. Like this video, comment your thoughts below on how y'all feel about this show and where it's going. Who's your favorite character? Who's not your favorite character? I want to know. And last but certainly not least, subscribe and join the Queen, baby. Bye.